Let me ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself right now. You have a job, a real one. You get a paycheck every month. Maybe you even got a raise this year. And yet, somehow, when you check your bank account at the end of the month, there's almost nothing left. You feel behind. You feel anxious. You feel like no matter how much you earn, it's never quite enough. If that's you, you are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not bad with money. You are caught in one of the most sophisticated psychological traps that exists, and today we are going to dismantle it completely. Because here is what nobody in personal finance is talking about. The reason you feel broke has almost nothing to do with how much money you make. It has everything to do with what's happening inside your mind and what happened there long before you ever earned your first dollar. Stay with me. This video is going to change the way you see money forever. The problem isn't your paycheck. It's what's happening in your head. Before we go any further, if you've ever felt exactly what I just described, I want you to drop a money in the comments right now. No explanation needed, just the emoji. I want to see how many of us are dealing with this. And if this is your first time on this channel, welcome to Brain and Money. Every single week, we explore the psychology behind financial decisions in a way that is real, practical, and actually useful. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with a scenario that might feel uncomfortably familiar. You're sitting at your desk one morning, or maybe you're in bed, phone in hand, and you open your banking app. The balance is there. It's not zero. By almost any objective measure, you are doing okay. But the feeling that hits you, it's not relief. It's not gratitude. It's this low, persistent hum of anxiety. Like something is wrong. Like it's not enough. Like it's never going to be enough. Here's what makes this so disorienting. The numbers say one thing, your body says another, and you don't know which one to trust. Most people assume the problem is the numbers, so they chase more income, they work longer hours, they take on extra projects. They tell themselves, once I make X amount, I'll finally feel okay. And then they hit X, and they feel okay for about 3 weeks. And then the anxiety comes back, slightly quieter maybe, but back. This cycle, this endless moving of the financial finish line, has a name in psychology. It's called the hedonic treadmill. The idea that human beings adapt remarkably quickly to improve circumstances and then return to their emotional baseline. In other words, your brain is designed to want more, not because you are greedy, but because that drive kept our ancestors alive. The brain that was never satisfied was the brain that kept searching, kept building, kept surviving. The problem is that this ancient wiring is running in a modern world, and it's costing you your peace of mind.
Now let's go even deeper, because to really understand why you feel broke, we need to talk about something that happened long before your current salary. Think back, not to last month, not to last year. Think back to the earliest memories you have around money. Maybe money was something that caused arguments at home. Maybe you watched a parent stress over bills, count coins, say no to things you wanted. Maybe there were months where things got really tight and the tension in the house was something you could physically feel. Or maybe it wasn't that dramatic. Maybe money was just never talked about, wrapped in silence and secrecy, which created its own kind of anxiety. Whatever your specific story is, here is what the research tells us. Children absorb emotional patterns around money before they ever understand what money actually is. They learn whether money is safe or dangerous, whether abundance is possible or suspect, whether they deserve financial comfort or whether that's for other kinds of people. These are not intellectual beliefs. They live in the body, in the nervous system, in the automatic, unconscious responses that fire before logic even has a chance to show up. Neuroscientists call this implicit memory, the kind of learning that doesn't require conscious recall. You don't remember deciding to be anxious about money. You just are. And the trigger can be something as small as checking your bank balance or receiving an unexpected bill. Here is the critical part. This wiring does not automatically update when your circumstances change. You can double your income, get promoted, build savings, and your nervous system can still be operating from a scarcity template that was installed 20 years ago. The brain is extraordinarily good at learning threats. It is far less efficient at unlearning them. So if you grew up in financial uncertainty or went through a period in your adult life where every month felt like survival, your brain built a story, and that story is still running, quietly in the background of every financial decision you make.
Your income changed. Your nervous system didn't get the memo. I want to pause here for a second, because this part is really personal. Did you grow up in a home where money was a source of stress? Or maybe it was never talked about at all? Tell me in the comments, just a quick line, because I genuinely believe that understanding where your money story comes from is the first step to changing it. And sometimes just seeing that other people share your experience is incredibly powerful. Okay, so we've established that your brain might be running old fear software, but there's a second force at work here, and this one is sneakier because it looks exactly like progress. Let me paint you a picture. You get a raise, 15%. You're thrilled, and you should be. You worked hard for it. Within a few months, you move to a slightly nicer apartment. Bigger space, better neighborhood, completely reasonable given your new income. Then you decide the commute is exhausting, so you upgrade the car. Again, totally justifiable. You deserve reliability. The gym you go to now has a better location and better equipment. You sign up for a meal delivery service because cooking every night is honestly too much. You add a couple of streaming platforms. You upgrade your phone when the new model comes out. Individually, every single one of these decisions makes complete sense. You earned more, you're spending a little more. That's just called living your life. But here's the math that nobody does in real time. Your expenses grew at exactly the same rate as your income. The gap, the space between what you earn and what you spend, is identical to what it was before the raise. The cushion never materialized. The breathing room never arrived. And now your baseline is higher, which means you need the same income just to maintain your current standard. There's no margin for error, no buffer for the unexpected. This is lifestyle inflation, and it is one of the most universally experienced and least discussed financial patterns in modern life. The reason it's so hard to see in real time is that each individual choice is defensible. It's only when you zoom out and look at the full picture that you realize the trap. Here's the number that should stay with you. Studies on financial well-being consistently find that the single strongest predictor of financial security is not income level. It is the gap between income and expenses. People who earn moderately but spend significantly less than they earn report higher financial confidence than people who earn twice as much but spend nearly all of it. Security isn't about how much comes in. It's about how much stays.
Security is the gap between income and spending. Protect it.
Now we get to the part that requires the most honesty. How many times have you bought something not because you needed it, not even because you truly wanted it, but because you needed to feel something different from what you were feeling?
Bad week at work? New sneakers. Argument with someone you love. Online cart filled by midnight. Feeling behind, invisible, or just exhausted. You walk into a store without a plan and walk out with things you never intended to buy. Psychologists call this compensatory consumption, using purchases to restore a sense of control, status, or self-worth that has been temporarily threatened. The mechanism is real and it works.
Briefly, a purchase delivers a genuine neurological reward. Dopamine fires. There is a moment of relief, of pleasure, of agency. The brain registers it as a win. And then the feeling fades. The item sits on the table. The account is a little lower. And the original feeling, the stress, the inadequacy, the exhaustion, is still there, unchanged. What makes this expensive is that the purchases don't need to be large. It's the daily coffee upgrade when you're anxious, the takeout because you're emotionally drained, the impulse buys that accumulate into hundreds of dollars a month, each one small enough to feel harmless. The question that breaks this cycle is not, can I afford this? It's a slower, more honest question. What am I actually trying to feel right now? And is spending money the best available route to that feeling? Sometimes the answer is yes. But a lot of the time, if you slow down enough to ask, what you actually need is sleep, or a real conversation, or simply permission to feel what you're feeling without trying to fix it with a transaction. There is one more force driving this feeling, and in the age of social media, it has become more damaging than at any other point in history. Comparison. Social psychologist Leon Festinger proved this decades ago. Human beings don't evaluate their circumstances against an objective standard. We evaluate them relative to the people around us. We don't ask, am I doing okay? We ask, am I doing okay compared to them?
And in a world where them now includes everyone you follow online, their vacations, their apartments, their seemingly effortless lives, the comparison pool has expanded to a size that is genuinely impossible to keep up with. Here's the cruel twist. As your income rises, your social environment tends to shift upward too. You're now working alongside people who earn more, socializing in spaces where the baseline is higher. The people you unconsciously measure yourself against have moved up the ladder, right alongside you. So even as you earn more, you may feel the same or even worse. The benchmark moved, the goalpost shifted. And social media makes this worse at a scale that's almost absurd. You are not comparing yourself to your neighbors anymore. You are comparing yourself to a globally curated highlight reel. Nobody posts the anxiety. Nobody posts the credit card statement. You see the vacation. You don't see the debt that paid for it. Feeling financially inadequate is not always a sign that you need more money. Sometimes it is a sign that you have been measuring yourself against the wrong ruler entirely. Which of these 4 patterns resonates most with you right now? Old fear wiring, lifestyle inflation, emotional spending, or the comparison trap? Drop the number in the comments, 1, 2, 3, or 4. I read every single one, and it genuinely shapes what I cover next.
Everything we've talked about so far, the fear wiring, the lifestyle inflation, the emotional spending, the comparison trap, they all have one thing in common. They are expressions of something deeper, your financial identity. Your financial identity is the collection of beliefs you hold about yourself in relation to money. Whether you see yourself as someone who is good with money or someone who isn't. Whether you believe wealth is something available to you or something for other kinds of people. Whether you experience abundance as safe or suspicious. And here is the critical insight. You will almost always spend, save, and invest in ways that are consistent with your financial identity, even when those behaviors directly contradict your stated goals. If deep down you believe you are someone who struggles with money, you will find a way to struggle, no matter what your income is, because the brain is extraordinarily good at creating circumstances that confirm its existing beliefs. Psychologists call this identity-consistent behavior. We act in ways that match who we believe we are. It's not conscious sabotage. It's the brain maintaining its internal model of the world. This is why advice alone rarely changes financial behavior. You can read every personal finance book ever written. You can follow every budget template. You could know exactly what you should be doing and still find yourself repeating the same patterns because the behavior follows the identity, and the identity hasn't been updated yet. Changing your financial life at the deepest level requires changing how you see yourself in relation to money. Moving from "I am someone who is always broke" to "I am someone who is learning to build financial security." From "money is stressful and complicated" to "I am capable of understanding and managing my money well." These aren't affirmations, they're identity shifts, and they require evidence, small, consistent actions that prove the new story true, one decision at a time. All right, we've diagnosed the problem. Now let's talk about what actually changes things. I'm going to give you 4 practices, grounded in behavioral science, that done consistently, genuinely shift the relationship between your mind and your money. Practice 1. Name your money story. Take a piece of paper, not your phone, actual paper, and write down your 3 earliest memories involving money. What happened, how it felt, what you unconsciously concluded about money from that experience. This exercise is deceptively powerful. Most people who do it discover beliefs they didn't know they were carrying. Things like, wanting more makes me selfish, or I'm just not a numbers person, or financial comfort isn't really available to someone like me. These beliefs are completely invisible until you look directly at them. Once you see them clearly, they begin to lose their automatic grip on your behavior. Practice 2. Protect the gap intentionally. The next time your income increases, raise, bonus, extra work, make a deliberate, pre-committed decision about what percentage goes directly to savings before your lifestyle has a chance to adjust. A simple rule that works: 50% of every raise goes to savings automatically. The other 50% can improve your life. This way, both your standard of living and your actual security grow at the same time, instead of lifestyle absorbing everything and leaving nothing behind. Practice 3. The 24-hour rule.
When you feel the impulse to buy something unplanned, add it to a list. Wait 24 hours. Come back and ask 2 questions. Do I still want this? And why did I want it yesterday? A significant percentage of emotionally driven purchases simply never get made when this rule is applied consistently. The impulse fades because the emotional trigger that created it has passed. This one practice alone builds more financial self-awareness than almost anything else, and it costs nothing. Practice 4. Build evidence for a new identity. This is the deepest one. Choose one small financial behavior that represents the person you want to become. 1. Transferring a fixed amount to savings every Friday. Reviewing your spending every Sunday. Cooking at home 4 nights a week instead of ordering out. Do it every week for 60 days without missing. What you are doing is not just saving money. You are building proof, repeated, undeniable proof, that you are someone who manages money with intention. And that proof is what makes a new financial identity feel real and sustainable. Motivation fades. Habits built on identity evidence last. Which of those 4 practices are you starting this week? Pick one and write it in the comments right now. Committing to something publicly makes you significantly more likely to follow through. That is not motivation talk. That is behavioral science. You don't have a money problem. You have a relationship with money problem, and that can change. If this gave you something real today, hit the like button and share it with one person who needs to hear this. You might genuinely change how they see their finances. Next week, we go deep on something I get asked about constantly: how to rewire your money mindset from the ground up. The exact psychological process, step by step. You don't want to miss it. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you there. Take care of that brain and that wallet.